Hello. Have you been operating as an independent leader? Perhaps you have come into your own as a leader. You are asserting your authority. You believe that you're on top of your game. And maybe you are even making impact and generating influence with your people as well as within your organization. That's fantastic. But let me ask a question. Whose agent are you? Whose agent are you? Who determines how you operate? Who determines your approach to leadership? Who determines the expected results of your leadership efforts? So this is Leadership in 30 Minutes. And every Thursday we speak on an aspect of leadership that is geared towards empowering you to do leadership right. My name remains Olatunji Shobod. And today I'll be speaking on the concept of agency in the context of leadership. The concept of agency in the context of leadership. And that's why I'm asking the question today, whose agent are you? Dear leader, whose agent are you? Now that may come as a surprise to you or to some of us. And you may wonder, what do you mean? I have been appointed to this role. I have been designated a leader. I have been given a responsibility, and I'm expected to rise up and deliver. Great. But precisely in those statements is an acknowledgement that you are an agent, that you are an agent. You are an agent of either somebody or some entity. Every leader is an agent. Every leader is representing or intended to represent the interest of somebody. Every leader is supposed to be pursuing some interest, and not primarily your own interest, which unfortunately is what many leaders do. You are actually expected to pursue the interest of the one who gave you the privilege to lead. Because to hold a leadership position is a privilege, even if you are not appointed, because there are those who are leaders by influence, not by appointment. But make no mistake, the fact that you are a leader by influence, you may not be the head of the team, but people pay attention to what you say, and you are able to influence the people in one direction or the other. Even when you hold that status of leadership, you must understand that you still remain an agent. You still remain an agent. As our custom is, I want to anchor this perspective to, a scripture that I used earlier on this week on Leadership Monday. I want to come back to that scripture again, but I'm bringing out something completely different this time. All right. Remember, we're talking about how you lead as an agent. And in the context of that, I'm asking the question, whose agent are you? Do you know whose agent you are? Are you conscious of the fact that, yes, you are a leader, but you are an agent? And if you are an agent, you are constrained. You are constrained in the pursuit of interest because agency is about representation of interest. So if I appointed you into a position to preside over a team, all right, I don't expect you to go there and pursue your interest. I expect you to go there and pursue my interest, being the one who appointed you there, being the one, as it were, who defines the purpose of your sitting as the leader in that context. So let's come back. At Emmett Leadership Academy, where I'm CEO and founder, and the platform on which Leadership in 30 Minutes comes to you, we nurture leaders based on truth. And truth, make no mistake for us, comes from the Word of God. Therein lies the greatest book on earth. Therein lies the example of the greatest leader on earth. And who else to learn leadership from other than Jesus? And so when you look at John 15:16 especially, it says, "You did not choose me." It said, "I chose you. I appointed you. I ordained you to go forth and bear fruit, and that your fruit should abide." He said, "That way you can ask my Father for anything and he will give it to you." I'm going to leave that, the side of asking the Father for a reward after you have done the work, after you have delivered on your leadership mandate. I'll leave that to as a subject for another day. But for today, please pay attention. He said, "You didn't choose me." So in that position of leadership, you didn't choose it. Forget how excellent you believe your performance was. Forget that maybe you even qualified for it or you were entitled to it. You are an agent. You remain an agent. When you look at what happened with the parable of the talents, boss, the king gave his servants talents, said, "Occupy, do business with this until I come." And when he got back, they rendered, their stewardship, performance appraisal time, and two of them excelled. And because they excelled, by way of doubling, all right, the resources that they had been given, they were promoted. Each of them was promoted. Now, notice, yes, their performance helped them with promotion, but they didn't promote themselves. They were still promoted by their leader. They were appointed to leadership positions at their level by their leader. And so, whose interest do you think they're expected to represent? By whose terms are they supposed to play in that role? Certainly, it is that of the leader. So imagine them going on to manage those cities and basically just doing things on their own. They are bound to run into problems. What am I saying? I'm saying that every leader must recognize himself or herself as an agent. You see, leadership is tricky. Leadership is such that the aura of that position, and at times also the demands of that responsibility, can make us lose sight of who we are and indeed who we are representing. As a leader, you are not representing yourself. As a leader, you have a mandate to go and deliver according to certain purpose You are required to pursue certain interests, not your own interest. Not your own interest. So you want to think about it. And that may be the reason why you are having problems. That may be the reason why you are not making the kind of impact that you would have loved to make. That may be the reason why you were perhaps doing well at some point, but things appear to have turned, in an adverse direction. Whose interest are you serving? Whose interest are you serving? Are you leading as an independent? Are you leading unto yourself? Are you asserting yourself as the, all in all? Yes, it's true that the buck stops on your table. But let's be clear that that doesn't mean that you have the final authority. The one whose interest you are representing, the one who is your agent, has the final say. You must understand that. You must always understand that. You must come to your leadership responsibility with that consciousness. It's very, very important. Very important. Let's explore 3 dimensions of agency. I love the concept of agency when, it's the kind of thing that we talk about a lot in my days in banking, and especially when you're doing research in banking, which I did for many years, writing, papers and all of that. And there is the agency theory of banking. And so in this case, the leader is an agent. We have seen, he said, I chose you, I appointed you, I empowered you to go and lead and to bear fruit from your leadership and to ensure that that fruit abides. And if you like, that aspect is talking about the fact that one of the things that you are supposed to do in pursuit of the interest of your principal agent is to ensure that you leave a legacy of succession. You leave a legacy of succession. Okay, I spoke about that recently. You can check my video on level 5 leadership that I posted just this week. It will, help you a great deal. All right. So the leader's agent, your first agent, is you are the agent of your leader. What do I mean? It's true that you're a leader, but you didn't become a leader on your own. You didn't become a leader through your own exclusive efforts. You didn't become a leader without somebody guiding and directing you. Whoever you are sitting in that position as a leader, you are influenced, you are shaped, you are guided by somebody. All right. And it could be by more than one person. Those people have had an influence in your life. Those people have made you who you are in terms of personality, in terms of competence. They have made you who you are today. Make no mistake about it. And therefore, you are the agent. Going forward, anything you do, you are their agent. Why? Because leadership is about continuity. Leadership is about replication. Leadership is about reproduction, reproducing who, replicating who, continuing with whose style, with the style of your leader. Because the idea of leadership is that if I'm leading you, you learn from me. And the things you learn from me, you're expected to go on and put them into practice, especially when I'm no longer there. Loyalty is expected of you to me as your agent. All right. So because you have received from people, when you come into any leadership position, you come in there as their agent. As their agent from the point of view that you are expected to operate or to conduct yourself in the light of what you have learned. In the light of what you have learned. Okay? So that's one dimension of agency. When you come to a leadership responsibility, know that you are representing those who have shaped you. I don't want to use the word benefactor, but you are the protege of someone, even if they didn't designate you as such. Whatever, whoever you are, you learned from somebody. Now, it's possible that you learned from a bad leader, all right, in which case you still are a protege of a bad leader. Okay, now that could be tricky because you come in contact with some other people who are able to help you to appreciate that you were under bad leadership and you need to change. So at that point, you begin to make the effort to change. But let's leave it at that. So the first dimension is that when you come to a leadership position, you are the agent of your own leader. You're the agent of your own leader. The second is that you are also the organization's agent. So if management appointed you to a role as the head or take responsibility for this team, okay, now management is an agent, is your agent. Why? Because they have given you a responsibility. All right, they have given you a responsibility. You don't want to go into that role and just do your own thing. You can't, you shouldn't. Yes, people make the mistake, but they forget that they are representing management. Management has what they expect you to deliver from putting you in that seat. Are you conscious of that? Interestingly, I think there are more people who are more conscious of the fact that management, put them in place than they are conscious of the fact that they also have a leader as an agent. But the fact that management put some in place, and you would have seen that I saw that a lot, in my career, you often quickly forget. And that's why some people abuse their authority. That's why they abuse power, because they don't understand that they were put there by superior power, and that the superior power can move against them when they don't deliver in line with expectation. So you have that also to bear in mind. And there's a third dimension. And that dimension is, there is a God dimension. There's a God dimension. We must not forget that. All right? There's a God dimension. Why is there a God dimension? Because, in case you don't realize, when you preside as a leader, guess what? The lives of people, the destinies, the future, the tomorrow of people has been placed in your hands. What a leader does or does not do, or if you like, fails to do, impacts the future of those he or she is leading. That's the truth. Now, you didn't create those people. Those people have appointed destinies. Those people are meant to be given an opportunity to grow and develop like anybody else. Now, the fact that they are under you, you are presiding over them, all right, is a huge responsibility. And you must understand that you are not allowed to mismanage their destinies. You are not allowed to lead them astray. You are expected to add value to their lives. You are expected to add such value that their lives become worth more than the whole world. And I wish I could go into that, but I won't. But I want you to take that the one who created you and I, through whose privilege you live today and you can sit as a leader, has an expectation of you in the handling of the lives of those that look up to you as a leader. This is crucial. This is crucial. So as a leader, you and I, in those roles, we are agents of God. We are God's agent. We're God's agent. And you can check that out in Ephesians 4, verses 11 to 13. You are appointed different categories of leaders given as gifts, all right, to the church so that they can shape and transform lives. Okay, so there are three dimensions of leadership. But when we talk about agency theory in banking, we have the concept that is called moral hazard. What is moral hazard? Moral hazard talks about you misusing, abusing the privilege that the agent has given you. It's about you going ahead to do what you have not been asked to do to the detriment of both your agent and, in this case, of the people you have been asked to preside over. That's moral hazard. So there's the moral hazard problem in agency theory. And that's to say that there is a fourth dimension of agency, unfortunately, which is where you go, when you come to your responsibility as a leader, representing yourself to the exclusion of all the others that I have mentioned. So you are not going there representing a leader. You are not going there representing your organization. You are not going there representing God. You are basically just doing your own thing. You're basically just doing your own thing. That's the kind of thing that Solomon did. He started well, but he then became, had this larger than life status because he was successful. He forgot, how he got to that position. He got himself mixed up with some things, and he began to conduct and carry himself as though he was representing himself. He forgot that he was an agent. In spite of all his performance, he still was an agent. It's the same problem with Nebuchadnezzar. It's the same problem with Herod. It's the problem with many of us today. We are so comfortable now in our leadership roles that we no longer see ourselves as agents. And if anything, we're agents of ourselves. We're representing ourselves. We're pursuing our own interests to the exclusion of the interest of our leader, to the interest of our organization, to the interest of God. And guess what? When you do that, you set yourself up for disaster. When you do that, very soon your performance will be on the downturn. When you do that, you will soon lose influence. Why? Because when you do that, you lose the compass of your direction. Now, why is that the case? This is the agency issue is not a very straightforward issue, but you see, there are interest issues. If I appoint you to a position, I've given you a mandate. There's a way that I expect you to get the job done. If you look at, and this was what I spoke about, on Monday, this aspect when I said that in John 15, look at what verse 17 said. Verse 16 talks about the mandate to go as a leader and deliver. Verse 17 talks about how you should do it. When an agent, all right, selects you to go and represent himself or herself in your leadership role, understand that there is a way that they expect you to deliver. There is a way they expect you to conduct yourself as a leader. You may be given some latitude, but guess what? Your conduct must align with their expectations. Now, in that verse 17, Jesus then added, when he said, go and bear fruit, and your fruit, make sure that it remains or it outlasts you. That's what that means. Make sure that your fruit outlasts you. That's why legacy, that's why succession, they are very crucial. However, the point I want to make in verse 17, he said, and this I command you, love one another. So I was speaking on Monday saying that you have not just been called to do leadership and to that position of leadership, you have also been told how your leadership must be conducted. The instrument for doing leadership right, according to the agent expressed in John 15, is love. So, when you look at God as the agent, in this case, if you recognize God as the agent, you must engage the instrument of love. By the way, it's the most powerful, it's the surest instrument for succeeding as a leader in any role, any leadership role. It's not about the church. All right? Why? Because leadership is about people. And the people have not changed. All right? People are people. People are emotional beings. All right? And love works with everyone. True love, sincere, when you understand the content of it, not the lip service kind, the real love, it works, it works, it works. So the point is, there is that expectation. You can't come to a leadership responsibility and conduct yourself anyhow. Recognition of who your agent is will help you in the conduct of your leadership. We help you a great deal. We help you a great deal. We help you a great deal in your conduct of leadership. The same thing, if you are mindful of the fact that your organization is the dominant agent, is your principal agent, you have to pay attention. How does your organization expect you to lead? Be careful how you exert your independence. Why? Because your organization has a culture, your organization has certain expectation of its leaders, and you need to understand them. You need to pay attention to them. If you don't lead accordingly, you will have problems. In fact, you would have problems with the people as well who operate within a cultural setting. And so there's a way things are done. If you don't pay attention to the way things are done as a leader in that context, failure is imminent. You're soon going to fall on the wrong side of the principal agent of your organization, its decision makers, its management, as the case may be. And then, of course, if you recognize that you are the product of a leader or some leaders over the years, what's your commitment to staying through to what they taught you? What's your commitment to staying through to what they taught you? I like what 1 John chapter 1 and verses, I believe, 17 to 19 or thereabout says. He said, look, these things we have seen, these things we have heard, and these things we are teaching so that you may also experience the same thing that we have experienced. That's what leadership is about. Leadership is not about you getting there and then trying to implement your own ideas. Because the school of leadership is a school where you learn how to lead. Now, you don't go away from the school and start doing your own things and start trying your own ideas. No, you build, you commit to what you learned, you implement them, and you improve on them. That's why Jesus said, greater works than these shall they do. It didn't mean they are going to stop doing what I'm doing. It means after the order, just like the things I've been doing, in the same way that I have conducted myself, they are going to continue, but they're going to make greater impact. They're going to, record greater accomplishments. You can't do that by jettisoning the things that you learned, the things that your eyes saw, the things you heard. And it's in that sense, when you commit to that, that you are representing your leader as an agent. Okay, so that you can see the issues, therefore. You can see the issues, therefore. Now, let me speak briefly about one or two things. And, hopefully, I'm working on a new newsletter. I'm going to speak more about this, that there are two mandates that you must bear in mind. There are two mandates of the leader. These mandates are crucial. These mandates are of God. But these mandates as well, all right, should be of interest to your leader, if hoping that you are trained by the right people, and to your organization, hoping that your organization is also run by, the right kinds of people, upright people. The first mandate is a transformation mandate. All right. Your principal agents, and God especially, all right, and indeed every other one, expects you to transform the lives of the people you lead. You must add so much value to their lives that they become worth far more, having gone through your tutelage. All right. And they are so empowered to face life on their own from that point onwards. Number two is that you have a mandate to preserve their lives, to preserve them, all right, on the path, on the right path to the realization of their destiny, or the fulfillment of their destiny, or put them on the right path to a glorious destination. Now, that's the summary of John 10:10. It said, the thief comes to kill, to steal, and to destroy. But I have come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. So you see, life, the transformation, value addition, and two, preservation. You preserve them, all right? Preserve them, preserve adversities, plaguing their lives, derailing their journey. Okay? And those are two critical mandates that you have. In that John 10:10, you see the true leader who understands who he or she is representing, the principal agent. And you see the fake leader, the one who just goes ahead and does his or her own thing. And many times when they want to do their own thing, it's the pursuit of self-interest, and it doesn't bode well for both the agent they're supposed to be representing and the people whose interests they're expected to preserve. All right, so I've said it. When you must recognize the concept of agency, because if you don't, then you are likely to miss it when it comes to how you approach your leadership responsibility. Um, you're likely to miss it. And why? Because the one who has called you will also, has an expectation of how you are supposed to carry on that leadership assignment. So we've talked about the two mandates. You need to transform life, to add value to life, which is number one. And number two is to preserve your people for their destination, for, a glorious destination. Okay. To get to a point also where they can add value, where you are built in them the capacity for them to also go ahead and add value. And I've talked about John 10:10, where you see the leader and what the true mandate of a leader is, and you see the fake, and what the real intentions of the fake leader, are. And be reminded that you are supposed to lead by the rules of the agent that you recognize, the principal agent. So it's usually good for you, haven't seen this, to do an agent analysis so that you understand exactly how to approach your leadership, responsibility. Finally, I want to draw your attention to an aspect of this discussion that is tricky. Now, you can see there are four agents. You, as some people, erroneously get into, there is God as your agent, or at least ought to be. He has expectations of you. There is your organization. There is your leader. And in fact, there could be your boss, all right, who was the one that recommended you, for promotion. So now, the interests of all these agents may and often do conflict. They often do conflict. All right. Particularly, in this world where people do their own things. All right. All the others can conflict with the expectations of God. That's the problem with doing leadership the way it's done in the world. That's the problem with living Bible truths and principles out of your conduct of leadership. So this is one that will challenge the average leader, particularly one who wants to lead, to the heart of God, to God's satisfaction. All right? Who wants God to say, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Okay? There's so much that we can explore, but think about it. I will speak further on this issue some other time. But there are those conflicts, and it's good for you to resolve those conflicts and to decide what your approach to leadership will be on the basis of who you recognize as your principal agent, and to in fact see if there is scope to accommodate the interests of other agents within that of your principal agent. Okay, so in this case, I would say I would put the interest of God first. I will run by the principles of God. Now, as long as the principles, the interests of my organization, the interests of my leader do not conflict with the interest of God, then I'm good. I'll be able to satisfy everyone and do a great job and be saluted. We'll have favor with God and favor with the men here on earth. All right? But that's me. And you have to carry out your own assessment and you have to make a choice. You have to understand the nature of that leadership responsibility. Failure to do that may bring up some surprises for you, and you may not like them. You may not like them. I hope this has helped you today. I'll be speaking on who's your agent, or if you like, lead as an agent. Take a second look, or a fresh look, at how you have conducted yourself as a leader. Have you been recognizing your principal agent? Do you have a principal agent? Do you recognize there are other agents? Have you been pursuing their interest, or have you been pursuing your interest? Have you taken on an independent role and put your interest above the interest of all other agents? I suspect that many will come to that conclusion, but my hope is that they will quickly realize that they need to conduct a reappraisal and embark on a realignment, if they are not, to grapple with avoidable adverse consequences somewhere down the line, if they are not already doing so. And if you are one who is caught already in that web, I hope this helps. If you need advice, reach out to me. You see a link, you can book a call, we can have a discussion. We help leaders, and we nurture leaders based on truth. That's what we do at Emet Leadership Academy. That's what I'm committed to doing. That's my calling. And I think I'm in a good place to help you to do leadership right. All right. If you have not subscribed, please go ahead, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so that you get notification every time I come on live and every time I post a video. Like I said, check out, recently I spoke to the group of CEOs in Covenant Nation. I spoke on the subject of level 5 leadership. I think it would be of interest to you. Check out my site. I want to recommend it. It would add great value to you. And please feel free to give a feedback. Let me thank all those who've commented during this live cast. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you for summarizing, the perspectives that you gained from the discussion. If it has been a blessing, please refer to others, share the link, introduce the channel. We need to build a new set of leaders. Leadership is scarce all over the world. The world is worse off because of lack of sincere, credible, authentic leaders. And that's what we are about. We nurture leaders based on truth. Okay, some great things are, going to happen very soon, and I'll be sharing them with you, hopefully sometime next week. Some new initiatives that we're putting in place, all to help you to build capacity, to help you to upgrade your competence, to help you to be among those who will correct, the dire state of leadership across the world, across all spheres, across all levels. Those are what our initiatives are about. So once again, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day and indeed your week. And be sure to join me Monday, it's 11 a.m. West African time, and take delivery of your nugget for that week. That's at Leadership Monday, just a few minutes, but it will be time very well spent. It's been Leadership in 30 Minutes, and we've been speaking on leading as an agent. My name remains Olatunji Shobodu. Thank you, and God bless you.